Okay, I'm trying to. I got just so discombobulated it wasn't funny. Um, hey, welcome to the D. Louise book series. I'm Christina KRISTI. This is where I read books, talk about books, no special effects, no theme music, none of that fancy stuff going on here. And if you could please hit the thumbs up, please, please, and subscribe. Well, I'm looking for that 1,000 mark. It's just not coming. But this is Fridays and this is If Then. I think it's 104, 105. I'm not sure. I didn't look. But if you watched it last week, we did fairies. Fairies and like fantasy fairies, fae, that kind of situation. So I went off on a witch thing. And I went that direction, and I went that direction, and I went that direction, and I went back, and I went this way, and I got myself so confused. And my goal was to give you witch books that had been published in the last 10 years or so. There's a couple in this pile that are much, much older than them. And my normal go-to thing is to drag out my best friend here, Romantic Time Book Reviews, and go through them and find all the witch books. But I didn't do that because I wanted current stuff. Because you Google and you're going to get the old stuff. All the old stuff comes up. None of the new stuff comes up. And I was trying to keep it new and current, but she called. And I may do one day, but that's not today. The majority of these are recently published historical witch books. There's a couple that are older, and they just got thrown in the pile. Now, this first book, this first book, let's see, was recently, a couple months ago. This is a new one. Dark Sisters by KRISTI DEMEESTER. In this fiercely captivating novel, horror meets historical fiction when a curse bridges generation, binding the fates of three women. Anne Bolton, a healer facing persecution for witchcraft, begins with an entity for protection, but the fire she unleashes will reverberate for centuries. Mary Shepard, a picture-perfect wife in a suffocating community, falls for Sharon and begins a forbidden affair that could destroy them both. And Camellia Burstyn, the rebellious daughter of a preacher, defies conformist expectations to uncover an ancient power as her father's flock spirals into crisis. That's book one. Book two. MCKAY. MCKAY. This beloved author of Birth House and Virgin Cure is back with the most beguiling novel yet. The year is 1880, 200 years after the trials in Salem. Adeline Thom has left her life in this slideshow to open a tea shop with another young woman who feels it's finally safe enough to describe herself as a witch. A former medical student and garden de sorts, Eleanor D. St. Clair. Together, they cater to Manhattan's high society ladies, specializing in cures, palmistry, and potions, and maybe a couple of love potions, maybe. Eleanor wants to tread lightly and respect the magic manifest in the girl, but Adeline sees a business opportunity working with Dr. Quinn Brody, a talented alienist. She submits Bertrice to a series of tests to see if she can truly talk to spirits. Amidst the witch's tug of war over what's best for her, Beatrice disappears. Did she leave because she wanted to, or did she leave because she was taken? Book 3, Solstice, 2023. Helen Steadman, England, 1673. When a vicar arrives to take over the parish of Moulton Clog, the village finds itself in the grip of Puritan fever, and suspicious eyes are turned on Rose Driver. Rose's mother, brother, and grandmother were all put to death by the Scottish witch finder John Sharp. Almost a quarter of a century after the Newcastle witch trial, Sharp is no longer a threat. Rose should be safe in her quiet village, but is history about to repeat itself? I hope not. The Witch of Willow Hall. 2 centuries after the Salem witch trials, there's still one witch left in Massachusetts, but she doesn't even know. How does she not know it? Take this as a warning. If you are not able or willing to control yourself, it will not only be you who suffers, but the people around you will suffer the consequences too. Newbury, 1821. In the wake of scandal, the Montrose family and 3 daughters, Catherine, Lydia, and Emily, flee Boston for their new country home, Willow Hall. The estate seems sleepy, idyllic, but a subtle menace creeps into the atmosphere, remnants of a dark history that calls to Lydia, to the youngest Emily. All 3 daughters will be irrevocably changed by what follows. The First Witch of Boston. Massachusetts Bay Colony, 1646. Thomas and Margaret Jones arrived from England to build a life in the New World. Though of differing temperaments, cautious Thomas and fiery Margaret, a healer, are bound by love that lasted decades with a child on the way. The new beginning promises only blessings. But in the austere Puritan community, comely face hides malicious intent. Wrong moves or words are met with suspicious, and Margaret's bold and unguarded nature draws scorn. Soon Margaret is mistrusted as more cunning woman than kind caregiver, and when personal tragedies, religious hysteria, and wariness of the unknown turn against her, even the devotion Margaret and her husband share is at risk. Oops. Alright, now, this book. I didn't find a review for it. I didn't find a review for its successor. But there is a full page article up here. Witch Hunt. We'll put the book here. This is Catherine Howe on the Unseen Salem. What if the women of Salem really were witches? When Harvard graduate student Connie Goodman, the protagonist of Catherine Howe's debut novel, The Physic Book of Deliverance, Dane, faces this question during her qualifying exams. She thinks the professor is mocking her, but when she finds an ancient key along with a yellow fragment of parchment with the name Deliverance Dane on it, Connie soon is haunted by visions of the witch trials. The novel moves between the present and the past as Connie seeks to learn more about the woman and to find a mysterious, powerful artifact. Deliverance Physic Book. Howie says her intimate connection with the trials, 2 of her ancestors were accused of Salem witches, influenced her decision to write about them. So here's the full article. You can look at it and read it yourself. Try it there so you get it all the way over. But like I said, there's no review in the magazine in this one or in the future one. And I found 2 different occurrences. One says the next book came out in 2012, and another one says it just came out recently. So, the physics. Oh, so it says what that says. So, that was the Physic Book of Deliverance. Yeah, basically says what the magazine said. Okay. Once and Future Witches got 4 stars. In 1893, there's no such thing as witches. There used to be in the wild, dark days before the burning began. But now witching is nothing but tidy charms and nursery rhymes. If the modern woman wants any measure of power, she must find it at the ballot box. But when the Eastwood sisters, James, Genevieve, Agnes, Amatha, and Beatrice Belladonna, join the suffragists of New Salem, they begin to pursue the forgotten words and the ways that might turn the women's movement into the witches' movement. Oops. Because 1893, the women didn't get to vote for a long time. Stalked by shadows and sickness, haunted by forces who will not suffer a witch to vote and perhaps not even to live, the sisters will need to delve into the oldest magics, draw new alliances, and heal the bond between them if they want to survive. The Witching Tide. East Anglia, 1645. Martha Hollybread, a midwife, healer, and servant, has lived peaceably for more than 4 decades in her beloved coastal village of Cleftwater. Rendered voiceless as a child, Martha has not spoken a word in years. Someone needs to teach her sign language. One autumn morning, a sinister newcomer appears, the Witchfinder. Silas Mace Peak has been blazing a trail of destruction along the coast, and now the Cleftwater in his sights. His arrival strikes fear in the heart of the community. Within a day, local women are being captured and detained, and Martha herself finds herself a silent witness to the hunt. Powerless to protect, Martha is enlisted to search the accused woman for devil's marks. Now she is caught between suspicion and betrayal, having to choose between protecting herself or condemning the women of the village. Ooh. Ooh, that's cruel. This is the second book of Miss Physics over there that I talked about earlier. I didn't find, like I said, supposedly the article says, in addition to her working on the next book, which is set in 1915 Boston and containing surprising occult elements, Howe is editing a collection of witchcraft-related primary sources that will be released in time for Halloween 2011. I never did find it, and it wasn't recorded in the Romantic Times book review. But Daughters of Temperance HOWE came out in 2019. Connie Goodwin is an expert of America's fractured past with witchcraft. A young tenure-track professor in Boston, she's earned her career successes by studying the history of magic in colonial America, especially women's home recipes and medicines, and by exposing society's threats against women fluent in those skills. Beyond her studies, Connie harbors a secret. She is a direct descendant of a woman tried as a witch in Salem, an ancestor whose abilities were far more magical than those historical record shows. Our last picture, the Stone Witch of Florence. 1348, as the Black Plague rages Italy, Geneva is summoned to Florence after nearly a decade of lonely exile. Geneva has a gift, harnessing the hidden powers of gemstones. She can heal the sick, but when word spreads of her unusual ability, she is condemned as a witch and banished. Now the same men who expelled Geneva are begging for her to return. Geneva obliges, assuming the city leaders are finally ready to accept her unorthodox cures amid a pandemic. But upon arrival, she's tasked with a much different. She must use her collection of jewels to track down a ruthless thief who is ransacking Florence's church for priceless relics, the city's only hope for protection. If she succeeds, she'll be a recognized physician and never accused of witchcraft again. Yeah. I don't believe you. Okay. Stacey Hall, The Familiars. 1612, Pendle Hill, England. Young Fleetwood Shuttleworth, mistress of Gathrop Hall, is with child. Anxious to provide her husband with an heir, she discovers a hidden letter from her physician that warns she will not survive pregnancy. Distraught, Fleetwood wanders the grounds where she meets a local midwife named Alice, who promises she can deliver a healthy baby. But Alice soon stands accused of witchcraft. Frenzy sweeps through the countryside where even woodland creatures, the familiars, are suspect. Can Fleetwood trust that Alex is really the woman who she says she is? The familiars. We did this one on my channel. I really enjoyed the heck out of this. If I remember, I will put the review link to the video for this. This was awesome. If you haven't read The Apothecary, if you haven't seen my video on The Apothecary, oh, I love the book. I recommend that book to everybody and their mother. Haven Ambrose, a trailblazing nautical archaeologist, has come to the sun-soaked village of Postian to investigate the mysterious shipwrecks along the Amalfi coast. But Haven is hoping to find more than old artifacts beneath the azure waters. She is secretly on a quest to locate a trove of priceless gemstones her late father spotted on his final dive. Upon Haven's arrival, strange maelstorms and misfortunes start plaguing the town. Is it nature or something more sinister? And it goes back and forth between time zones. It's awesome. History of Witches. It's on the good paper too. Sweeping historical saga that traces 5 generations of fiercely powerful mothers and daughters, witches whose magical inheritance is both a dangerous threat and an extraordinary gift. Brittany, 1821. When Grandmere Ursula gives her life to save her family, the magic seems to die with her. Even so, Orchers fight to keep the old ways alive, practicing half-remembered spells and arcane rites in hopes of revival. And when the youngest daughter comes of age, magic flows anew. See what happens. I got carried away. The Haunting of Hecate. Hereford Cathedral, 1881, England. Hereford Cathedral stands sentinel over the city, keeping in secrets, holding long-forgotten souls in the stony embrace. Hecate Cavendish speeds through the cobbled streets on her bicycle's skirts hitched daringly high, leading her new life as assistant librarian. But this is no ordinary collection of books. The cathedral, an ancient chained library wisdom guarded for centuries, mysteries and stories locked in a wormhole humble shelf. The most prized artifact, however, is the medieval world map that hangs next to Hecate's desk. Little does she know how much the curious and mystical creatures depicted on it will come to mean to her. And, what is this one? This was a leftover from the other one. Okay. Last two. 1819. In Highland Village, forgotten by the world, the young people who remain after war and flu will soon head south to make something in the south. Morgana and her friends venture to the forest for a last night of laughter before parting ways. She planned to leave once, but her lover died in France, and with him her future. The friends light a fire and dance, but with every twirl about the flames, strange new dancers thread between them, music streaming from the trees. The Fae have joined them. Oops, a Fae book got in my pile. This was last week's pile. So add this to last week's video. Alright. I couldn't find this in Romantic Times Book Review, and I'm like, this has to be in there. And I looked at about 3 or 4 different issues, and I didn't find it. Maybe I should have looked a little further. But I didn't, and this is an older one. But because it's who she is, I just thought I'd throw it in. Nora Roberts, The Dark Witch. With indifferent parents, Iona Sheenan grew up craving devotion and acceptance. From her maternal grandmother, she learned where to find a land of lush forests, dazzling lakes, and centuries-old legends. Ireland. Country Mayo, to be exact, where her ancestors' blood and magic have flowed through generations, and where her destiny awaits. Iona arrives in Ireland with nothing but her nan's direction, an unfailingly optimistic attitude, and an innate talent with horses. Not far from the luxurious castle where she is spending a week, she finds her cousins Brianna and Connor O'Dwyer, and since family is family, they invite her into their home and to their lives. The Dark Witch. And there you go. There are your 12, sorta kinda 14, sorta kinda, mostly 12 witches, historical witches. There might have been a couple of mistakes. But I'm trying to decide if I should continue with the witches next week, more light witches, and I really haven't been too successful in finding what I want. Or I might move on to a different topic completely. And while you're at it, if you could please check out the unboxing on Sundays. I get these boxes. I do not ask for these books. we go through them. I do a video if I find something interesting, and because I do not know what's in those boxes until I get them. Anybody else does a YouTube unboxing, they've ordered the product, or someone sent it to them as a gift. These are not, these are given to me. I'll do a video, and then we're gonna split them up into the individual charities and get them out. They leave my house within 72 hours. And I've watched a couple of the videos back. Damn, I should have kept that book, but I didn't. They all went. Also, check out Flashback Mondays. And if you watch This Is If Then, please go watch Star Trek Voyager recaps and Next Generation Voyager recaps. I tried to make lists for those. We'll see what happens. And of course, my daily book reviews. So please hit the like and subscribe. Thank you so much.